Hi everyone, I'm Christine and today we are actually going to talk about the important changes to Singapore's EC policies. I'm sure most of you have already heard or know about it, but these changes are actually quite significant and it actually affect many people involved in the property market, not just the EC buyers. So I want to do this video to dive deep to understand what are the changes and why is there a need of the change and the impact of the people that will be involved, as well as the ripple effects of this on the private property, and finally, what are the opportunities in the market. Let's start with the key updates to the EC policy, which apply to the new sites acquired from 8 May 2026 onwards. There are actually 4 main points to remember. Number 1, the minimum occupation period, short form MOP, which is how long you must live in your EC before you sell it. This actually has doubled from 5 years to 10 years. Also, the period before an EC can be sold to a foreigner or company has increased from 10 years to 15 years. This means that buyers will need to have a longer commitment when they actually buy an EC, and they actually have to buy to stay or hold on to the EC for a longer term and not really for a quick sales. Number 2, there's actually an increase in the first-time quota. The government is giving more priority to the first-time home buyers. The quota for the first-time new EC buyers actually go up from 70 to 90%. But the quota for the second-timer buyers actually dropped from 30 to 10%. This actually means that if you're actually a first-time buyer buying EC for your first home, you actually have a higher chance of getting it. Number 3 is the extended priority period for the first-timer. First-timer now actually get a longer time to choose their units. Instead of just 1 month, they actually increase to 2 years. This means that there's actually no rushing for the first-time buyers. They could actually take a little bit more time to do their planning and to do their selection. And lastly is actually the removal of deferred payment scheme. The deferred payment scheme DPS is actually only for current EC. It allows the buyers to pay later, but this is going to be removed. So moving forward, all the new EC projects that's bidded after 8th of May will only have the normal payment scheme. This means that you will start paying when the building is being constructed. In my opinion, this is actually the biggest impact because to be eligible to buy an EC, your combined income cannot exceed 16,000. So if you're actually a first-timer, your combined income of 16K and at a young age of probably 30 to 35, your maximum loan is about 1 million based on MSR. And to buy a 3-bedroom nowadays is approximately about 1.6 million. This means that you need to have about 600K savings or CPF for your down payment, which is actually quite an amount to have. So the extended priority period for the first-timer actually increased to 2 years is also a good way to let the first-timer start saving so that they have enough savings to actually go for the ECs. The government made these changes for a few important reasons. And first of all, we need to know why the government launched EC in the first place. EC was launched back in 1995 as a hybrid housing option to serve the sandwich class. These are the middle-class families and young professionals who earn too much to qualify for the subsidized HDB but cannot comfortably afford private condominiums. EC are built by private developers but sold under government regulations, pricing them about 20 to 30% lower than the fully privatized condominium. It's more to provide a stepping stone to allow inspiring middle-class families to enjoy a private condominium lifestyle at a subsidized price from the government. And to keep the prices fair and focused on genuine local families, the government applies strict categories such as a maximum housing income of not more than 16K and a 5 years minimum occupation period, and it has to be purchased under a family nucleus. However, EC prices have been going up way too high over the past few years, from $800 PSF to $1,008 PSF, which is more than double, making them less affordable for the middle-income families that were meant for. In the past, the proportion of first-time is about 50%, but recently it has actually dropped 30 to 40%, meaning there's actually more and more second buyers buying ECs with more money from selling their previous home and pushing out the first-time buyers. Statistics has also shown that many people who bought the EC only stay about a minimum 5 years MOP and then they sell it quickly for profit to upgrade to a private condo. This defeats the purpose of why the government implemented EC in the first place. The government wants EC to be homes, not investment tools, and they do not want the EC prices to be speculated. Simply put, their goal to actually keep ECs affordable for the first-time homeowners and discourage quick profits. So who is affected and how? Like I mentioned, these policy changes have different impacts on various groups. The very first one will definitely be our first-time EC buyers. Well, you are actually the biggest winners because you have a higher chance of getting an EC from 70% to 90%. And you have more time to choose from 1 month to 2 years. This allows you to have a better financial planning, and the policy is really designed to keep the prices more stable for first-timer. Second-timer is actually much tougher for you now because with only 10% units reserved and a 2 years wait, this means that if you can't get a unit in the EC launched, but you need to buy a place to stay, you likely will be looking at the older ECs, those that's actually under old rules, or consider the private condominiums nearby. And with a longer holding period of 10 years, it could really defer those who are considering to upgrade. Why do I say so? Imagine you are a second-timer and you are actually most likely probably about 40 to 45 years old, and you're going to buy a new EC which takes about 4 years to build and an MOP of 10 years. That will be about 14 years later. So by then you'll probably be about 50 to 59 years old. It will be not easy for you to sell and upgrade after that, considering the shorter tenure you will take as you aged. So with this longer holding period, it will defer buyers who are looking at buying and actually selling it later. The third group is the existing EC owners or seller. If you actually bought your EC before all these new rules, your property might become more valuable because you're not binded to all these new rules. With a shorter 5 years MOP and a 10 years mark to become fully privatized for foreigner, it makes it very attractive for the second-time buyers who can't get the new EC easily to come and buy from you. Can I say there will be actually a higher demand for buyers to actually look into your property, and there's also a higher chance for you to get a higher price. The last group is the developer, because the developer now has to be very careful when they bid for the land, as the bulk of the buyer, which is the second-timer, is now reduced to only 10%. The developers now cannot aggressively bid for the land at too high a price because they have to focus on the first-timer. And first-timer, what they need and want is actually more affordable units. So if the developer prices it too high and they can't sell it during the first 2 years to the first-timer, they have to hold the property all the way to the second year for the second-timer. And this could actually cost them a lot over the long run. And this is definitely what the government is trying to achieve. That is to control the developer from overbidding the land aggressively, which translates to higher selling price. One last group that a lot of us actually overlook is the condo sellers and buyers in private property. Buyers who are now finding it harder to get the new EC might turn to the private condominium market instead. This means that there is actually more demand for the mass market new launch condominiums and the resale condo, potentially pushing up prices in those segments. The changes to EC policy don't just stay within the EC market, they create a ripple effect across the entire property landscape. As mentioned, the increased demand for the second-timer EC buyers who are actually deferred by all these new EC rulings and can't buy the new EC, they will most likely flow into the private condominium market. This means that there will be an increased demand for private condos, and there will be actually more interest in the new private condominium launches and the resale units, especially those that are actually much more affordable or located near the existing EC's area. In short, when EC become harder to buy and longer to exit and more focused on the first-timer, there will definitely be spillover of buyers who look for new launches or resale in the market. With no restrictions of income, not tied by the MOP, able to get a higher loan with TDSR instead of MSR. This shift in demand could lead to the price increase in the private property market as more buyers compete for available units, making private condominiums more popular and potentially more expensive. Well, there's actually some good news. There are 5 upcoming launches of about 1,970 units that is actually not affected by these new rulings, and they are actually considered your last chance opportunities. These projects are going to be highly sought after because they still offer more flexible 5 years MOP. And if you are a second-timer or prefer the old rules, these are definitely ones that you should look out for. So now we have only one existing EC, Costa Cabana, which is still left with about 19% of units left. And this is actually not affected by the new ruling. So if you're a second-timer buyer and do not want to wait for the next 5 plots to be released, which high chance developer might price it higher depending on the demand, this is something that you should really consider. My advice for you is actually not to wait for the next 5 plots to be released. Because can I ask you, if you're actually the developer today and if you're going to launch the project next year, high chance it will be actually priced a little bit higher because of inflation and the cost of construction, right? And secondly, if you are the developer and you know that your plot of land is actually not affected by the new ruling and it's going to be probably the last few that is actually going to be launched, so high chance there will be actually a lot of second-timers that will actually come and buy this development. So as a developer, will you be actually pricing it high or low? And if you're a second-timer, do you want to wait until then to actually buy a project that most likely will be priced higher? Or do you still want to have this choice to actually select what is available in Costa Cabana? In summary, these new EC policies are a clear signal from the government, which is to stabilize the EC prices so it will not increase too high at a fast speed. As EC are primarily for genuine first-time homeowners and is not meant for short-term investment or speculation. While they create challenges for some, they aim to ensure affordability and stability. Everyone's property journey is different with their own goals and timelines. If you still have questions about what best work for you or how this could really affect your property planning, feel free to DM or call me and I'll be glad to discuss further with you. Thank you for staying with me till now, and if you could kindly click subscribe and share this video, this will really mean a lot to me. Once again, I'm Christine and see you soon.